Welcome to Local Traffic Only, the on-again, off-again show that talks to Michiana's purveyors of local original music. I'm Vinny Rose, and I'll be your host. Today, for our first guest, I have Mr. Charley Neises. He's here to talk about his first solo album, Bowl Ballads, which he describes as a collection of musical snapshots from the Great Recession. It's available for free download at SoundCloud. We'll go in and give you the address on the website later. Welcome to the show, Charley.
Thank you, Vin. Glad to be here. On a maiden voyage. This is number one.
Well, I've been threatening to do this for a while.
Threatening with violence to.
Well, threatening like with the musical projects and everything else. Yeah, it's actually got around to it.
Go ahead.
Oh no, you're the guest.
I was going to start asking you questions, like who's next? Can we just fast forward through me and get to whoever's next? Because I'm sure they're going to be more interesting than me.
Well, no one else is scheduled for today. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into music and songwriting and?
Well, I first heard the Beatles when I was 5 years old. So no, you don't want to hear the whole story. But my sister tried to take up the guitar when we were in high school, and I kind of swiped it from her and took it to a friend's house because he knew like some guitar chords and stuff. So he just started teaching me guitar chords, and then I'd write like a song every time I learned a new chord, whether the chords even matched each other or went in the same key, and be like, "Why are you putting these?" Because I know those. That's why I'm playing those, and because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write music. I never really had that much interest in really mastering the guitar. To me, it was just something, I just wanted to make just enough noise with it to be able to get like some songs out of my head.
Right.
And that's kind of been my trajectory the whole time. Because it's kind of embarrassing because if I tell you, I've been playing guitar for 40 years, then you hear me play, you go, shouldn't you be better than that? You've been playing for 40 years. It's like, well, it's not exactly what I've been kind of working on. That was it. That was all your questions, wasn't it?
Yep, we're done. No.
Boy, this is going to need a lot of editing.
Well, no. I think this is going to be more fun than anything else. So, Bowl Ballads, how long did it actually take you from start to finish, from like the genesis of the idea?
I started writing. I didn't set out to write a concept album, but there were a lot of songs that I worked on. It was the year 2011, and I was just I had gone through a long period of writing songs, collaborating with Doug in the Basics.
Right, because
Doug Cowan.
You wrote quite a bit of the lyrics for some of those.
Yeah. We I kind of turned off my own personal songwriting for a few years there, and just concentrated on writing lyrics to give to Doug to kind of feed him stuff. To make basic songs out of them. This is Doug Cowan and the Basics. Well, you'll hear more about them later. And here
on Q105.
That's right. That's right. And so there were about a dozen and a half songs that I was able to collaborate with Doug on, like that. But after a while, we kind of slowed down, and I kind of fell back into writing stuff for myself. And during that period, like I said, in 2011, I was writing songs that were kind of different than I had been doing. I usually had a history of writing like a lot of like novelty songs, or just like making up like little fictional stories and writing those out as lyrics. But I was writing songs that to me felt like they were coming directly out of my own experience and my own feelings, which is kind of a new thing for me. I know it's a little counterintuitive because, the troubled teenager sitting there writing songs, you think they're going to writing about their own, turmoil and heartache and all. But I kind of went the other way. I want to be like Randy Newman early in life, or Ray Davies. I wanted to, write these elaborate story songs and things like that. But never turned out well. But so I I was just cranking out these songs the way I normally do, and I kind of looked at the batch, and it just seemed that I had kind of a concept here,
kind of a thematic sort of running through everything.
Yeah, and so I had about eight songs that I married up to some older songs that I had written within the few years previous. Starting with the oldest song in the batch was the one that kicks off the album. It's called American World, and that was. There were a batch of songs. That's part of my 9/11 period. There was a batch of songs that I wrote immediately after 9/11, and this is really the only one that's really seen the light of day. And it was kind of based on something that you heard a lot of people saying at the time. It was like one of the things they kept asking was, why do they hate us? Why do, what's going on? Why do they hate us? And I just wanted to kind of, in my mind, sort through, well, maybe some of the reasons why, why America might not be the most popular place in the world these days. It's kind of a critique of American power, military power, economic power, cultural power, and
very much cultural power.
Yeah, and of course my template, of course, was like Born in the USA. It was kind of a make it a critique of American hegemony. But kind of disguise it as like asshole jingoism, and so that's how that song came out. That's probably more detail than I need to be.
Oh, that's all right.
Going into, I guess I probably I don't know. I'm not sure I'm not sure how I feel about actually talking about the subject matter of the songs. And maybe this is an aside to you right now. Are they like jokes, where if I have to explain it to you, I failed?
Well, no.
Is it like that?
I don't think so. For me, I was just going to comment about your writing is that there's some very serious lyrics that you've written that are couched in what appears to be, sometimes, like a fun, happy kind of pop song.
Yeah.
And there's that dichotomy there of the separation there. And I think that's very, I've always admired you as a lyricist from some of the stuff that you've done with the Basics, but I thought this album really brought that to the forefront.
I think that might be my the Smithereens influence there. That's another variation of the drinking game. Anytime I say Beatles, Smithereens, or Rainmakers, go ahead and take a drink. Those of you playing at home.
Or anytime I come up with a smart-ass comment.
Oh, take a drink. But that was the thing that that I don't know if I got that from the Smithereens, but they write the most depressing songs possible. The lyrics are depressing, but you just want to rock out to the.
It's very like, catchy.
Don't think about how how gloomy and depressing a song is, but I just want to rock man out.
And aside to the Smithereens, I love the Smithereens too, but that is probably one of the ugliest men to ever make it into rock stardom.
Oh, Pat Denizio? Wait a minute. Pat, if you're listening, he didn't mean ugly. He meant interesting-looking man.
Him and Donald Fagen from Steely Dan are like, sadly, they're hideous.
Oh no! But you're not including me on that list. So
no,
I consider that a plus for me. Yes.
Actually, I think this would be a good time to take a break, and we'll play a song.
Okay, go ahead.
You talked about American World, so I think we're going to play American World first.
Okay.
mistake. Pizza was all that I seen. It's an American world. It's an American world. It's an American world. Turning away. Little girl living in Bangladesh, works in the shop all day. For the realm of the coin, she's making shoes. She can't buy with the money they pay. It's an American world. It's an American world. It's an American world. Turning away. Turning away. Turning today. Imagine you live in a faraway place, a kingdom of oil and sand. Now imagine a foreign war machine invading your holy land. It's an American world. It's an American world. It's an American world. Turning away. 1968, I was 10 years old. The TV showed scenes of war. Daddy put his arm around my little shoulder. He said, someday this'll all be yours. It's an American world. It's an American world. It's an American world. Turning away. Turning away. Turning today.
So you started writing in 2011, and you just kind of pieced everything together and noticed that there was a theme running through.
Yeah, once I recognized that in the songs, it kind of, I wasn't intending to write a concept album, but it just appeared that way once I was done with all of it, and so I married the batch of songs that I wrote in 2011 up with some older ones that I felt fit the concept more or less. Like the older songs were American World. I have to look at my list here. All Saints Day, and Partly Lousy Day, and Radio Gehenna, and so I just recorded an acoustic demo of the songs, and there's a copy of it sitting over there.
And I have a copy of it now
on your chess table, so you can hear what just how god awful this concept appeared at its conception, and I almost let it go at that because it had been so long since I had done any kind of home recording that I was almost just satisfied with having these acoustic songs and just giving it to people. Go, here's some songs I wrote. Give it a listen and tell me what you think. But I had this Yamaha 8-track recorder that I had bought a year or two before that basically was still just sitting in a box.
Had never probably done too much with it.
Had barely opened the box because when I bought it, the guy at Sweetwater that sold it to me said, "Oh, you don't want that. That's too simple. You just take it out of the box and just start using it."
No, I think that's what I do want.
That's exactly what I want. And so I took it out of the box, and I took out the 100-page manual, and the quick start guide
was like
was like 20 pages. I was like, I don't know. And so I just put it back in the box and said, "We'll see about this someday." But then I now had this project that desperately wanted to get recorded, and so that was my motivation for learning to use this recorder that I'd bought. And see, because I'm really lazy, I'm very lazy, so I need this kind of a kick in the pants like that. Because I could sit and write songs. To me, that's not the hard part. The hard part is sitting down and recording them, trying to make them sound like something that someone other than my wife wants to listen to. And even then, she doesn't really want to listen to it. She's like, oh, is that a new song? Well, yeah, it's the one I've been working on for the last 3 weeks. Haven't you heard me playing it? No. Okay. So
it's like my wife when we practice here. It's like, oh yeah, we wrote a new song today. You did? It sounded like the same stuff you've been playing over and over again. Oh, yeah.
that means you have a signature sound.
Yeah.
Some people work for years and never find what their signature sound is.
And then she says, "Well, I really don't listen to what you do too much."
That could be the secret to the longevity of your marriage. See? So count your blessings, mister. So I had the songs and I had the recorder. And I started recording them, and I toyed with the idea of enlisting Ben High from the Basics. Take another drink, Paul. Only if you're playing the Basics.
Rules for the drinking game will be posted on the website later on.
Yes, that's right. But I went with the drum machines because that way I could just record anytime I wanted to.
Right, you know.
And I didn't have to worry about the logistics of how am I actually going to do this.
Or telling someone else that, no, play it like this.
Oh, I'd never do that because anything anybody does is better than anything I can think of. That's one of my rules. See, so I wouldn't do that, especially with Ben. Ben, seriously, I wouldn't do that with you. So it was early 2012 when I got started. Oh, and the other thing that was kind of instrumental in this was I had been playing with the Basics, Doug Cowan and the Basics. Take another drink, and we had kind of a hiatus that started around November, December of 2011, and it was like, oh, I have to do something to keep myself busy when the band isn't recording or gigging, and because usually what happens with me is I'll just completely turn it off and find lots of reasons for not doing anything musical, and so this was a good excuse to keep my brain moving and keep my fingers moving on the guitar and the bass and stuff like that. And but the funny thing was, I got a couple of tracks in the can, and Doug calls up and goes, "Hey, let's start recording." That's when we started recording Tommy's Place,
right?
The tribute to Tommy Thompson, and so I was suddenly working on 2 CDs at the same time, which is kind of fun to say because it makes me sound like a big time rock and roll star, which I'm most definitely not. And
you should call your producer.
Yeah,
or your agent.
What city am I in, man? I don't know. And so I was getting nice little kicks in the pants from everyone around me to keep working on the solo project. Usually when I'm recording with the Basics, I'll spend a lot of time at home trying to figure out, like my bass part and trying to come up with an arrangement, which also makes me sound like a really good musician, but I'm really not. And and Doug just kind of said to me, he said don't put a lot of time into preparing the Tommy songs. He says you keep working on your own thing. So I was like, okay, that was kind of nice. And then my friend Greg, who isn't in the basics, don't take a drink.
But don't they have to take a drink? You did mention the basics.
Oh, damn it! Oh, I just peeked out. Sorry about that. You can edit out the clap. So, not that I got the clap. I meant when I clap my
I think penicillin
hands.
edits out the clap.
Greg, my friend Greg gave me a challenge because it was 2011 and being an election year, and seeing how my CD was kind of about like a lot of topical things. He said, well, you have to finish it before the election. That was his challenge. He said, you got to finish it before the election. And so what I did was I was about halfway through the recording process. It was maybe about May. I printed up the covers with all the song titles in the order that they would be in, and I wrote recorded February to August 2012, and it was still only May. So I set
set a timetable.
I set a deadline for myself. Yeah, and so that was kind of my own kick in the pants because did I mention I'm lazy?
Well, I would have, for me, it would have been if I did something like that, I would have gotten to August and fuck it, I can reprint them.
I wasn't counting on that. I had already taken. Julie took the cover photo. Actually, took the cover photo before I even recorded anything. The only thing I had recorded at this point was the acoustic demos, and she took the photo it was January 31st of 2011. It was New Year's Eve, and I wanted to get the photo taken before it snowed because I didn't want it to look like a winter scene. But so I wanted to make sure, and it turns out it didn't snow for a long time. I could have taken that photo anytime. So these were all these incentives that I had to have to get myself to finish, because this is news. I'm really lazy, and so
take a drink.
Oh no! Just invented a new game. So it's like I have to trick myself into finishing something like this. And apparently a lot of the people around me also know the same thing. Doug knows this and Greg knows this, that I have to be given, deadlines and incentives to keep working on stuff, because I'm really lazy. What was your question?
I don't remember where we started. But I was talking about the songwriting process and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I think now would be a good time to play another song. What song would you like to have the listeners hear?
Well, one of my favorites is All Saints Day.
That's one of my favorites too.
And we just had All Saints Day just the other day. Was Friday.
Yes.
Was All Saints Day.
So we're going to listen to All Saints Day off Bowl Ballads.
Halloween mask on the ground at my feet, sign of the crosswalk lights up the street. The blood of a martyr is to right of my hands, hung over walls in a part of my plan on All Saints Day. Father, forgive me, I'm blessing the bums. Might be the day that salvation comes. Lit up a candle and fell to my knees. What if there's no one to hear them but me on All Saints Day? All Saints Day. Jack-o'-lantern smiles, 'cause we made it to the morning light. We were two less souls, not taken away last night. Left me a message inside of a book. Feel like I've run out of pages to look. Maybe I make this a little too hard. Eternity might never be in the cards on All
Now you've mentioned the basics several times now. You mentioned the basics. Take a drink.
Take a drink. Well, you mentioned the basics.
I just did.
Oh, I just did now too.
How'd you get started with those guys, and how did that affect any part of your songwriting?
They had no effect on me whatsoever. No.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
moving on.